What's up? How's everybody doing? Good.
Coach, their quarterback's having a pretty good year, throws for a lot of yards. What's some of the keys to slowing down their passing game?
Yeah, like you said, I feel like he's been there a long time. He's got a great understanding of what the Brown brothers are trying to do schematically. He gets the ball out on time. I think that's the biggest thing is trying to disrupt their timing. It doesn't take he's got a bunch of dropbacks and not a whole lot of sacks. And so that lets you know he has a great understanding of where to put the ball, depending on what coverage you're playing. He puts the ball in positions that allow his guys to make plays. And this year, more so than any that I've seen from Brom, is they're a lot more balanced. And so they're getting a lot of help from the running game, and that has allowed them to run the ball in favorable numbers in the box. And when people load it up, they can spread it out and get the ball out on the perimeter. And they got a good scheme.
What stood out to you on the tape review of MSU?
Shoot, a lot of things. Obviously the positives, right? I thought you couldn't have wrote a better script to start the game, right? One play, one interception, and then that second series, 3 and out. But then after that, it was just a situation where we weren't as clean as we have been in the past. We weren't able to play as complementary football as we have been able to in the last few games. And it was at every level. It was one play it was somebody up front, one play was somebody at the second level, one play was somebody in the back end. And so for us, like, we have to play clean, we have to play consistent with just doing our job and playing with fundamentals and technique. I did think the guys, they played hard. I didn't think that preparation was an issue. I didn't think that effort was an issue. I just think that we at times we're trying to make plays instead of playing within the confines of the scheme and what our responsibilities were. And so it's a lesson to learn from. You take solace in the fact that you lose a game like that and you're still 7-2 and ranked and still have everything in front of you in terms of your goals and aspirations as a team. So learn from it, move on, and on to the next one.
Right, it seems like coordinators are attacking with the screen game, tight ends, running backs. What do you guys need to do to clean that up a little bit?
Yeah, just communication eyes. Like whoever. Like, for instance, last week it was, they were getting to trips tight. The tight end was cracking the cylinder back leaking out, and so we saw it 3 times. One of the times we saw it, in terms of the crack and replace, and it was a no gain. The other 2 are eyes. We're too focused on the tight end. So that's something that we can get better at. It's and something that we'll definitely have to work on moving forward.
What does it look like if you guys are shorthanded at that other cornerback spot this week? What's that look like, and how do you kind of get those guys ready for a passing attack like Purdue?
Yeah, I was proud of the way that those guys came in and executed. Terrell, when he got in there, he made a couple plays, and obviously, like, he goes down and T-Strain goes in there, and he gives up the one early, but then he comes back and he plays pretty good football. Xavier Scott got a chance to get in there on a 3rd down and was really tight in coverage. And so it's just next man up mentality and everybody focusing in on their job. And I think that's what the message is going to be this week to our defense is everybody just doing that. Just do your job. And when we have done that, we have been really successful and played at a really high level.
Right, this isn't the first time you've seen a Brom offense going all the way back to your time in Missouri. Is this a little different in the sense that they might be more balanced than you've seen them in the past?
Yeah, I think definitely.
Jeff hasn't really cared about being balanced before.
Right. You do see that they're making a concerted effort to be balanced, just with the run-pass ratios. I've done a heavy, in-depth study on the early down offense, and out of every personnel group, you can see that they're trying to be balanced, and I think that shows a lot of trust in what they're doing in the run game. Number 45 is a physical downhill runner. They're doing enough up front to put you in compromise in terms of what your reads and your keys are when reading the line. And they run their run plays in favorable matchups, and you know they don't just run a dead play. So you know this is definitely the most balance I've seen out of them offensively.
I assume you'd like to get pressure without having to blitz a lot. Was that the case against Michigan State? And when you do have to send one or two extra guys, how does that impact your pass coverage?
You know, we were pretty aggressive just in nature. You know, there are hardly times where we're just sending four, and so we didn't change schematically what we were trying to do or trying to accomplish on Saturday. We just didn't execute as high of level as consistently as we have been. Like obviously, you know, at the end of the game, you look at you know what you gave up, what you did well, and there's a lot of positives on there. It's just, you know, for us to win games that way, we have to be on our P's and Q's at a high level all the time, right? And you know, I told our guys if we played the way we did Saturday against Iowa, like Iowa they'd have beat us. And that's okay. Like we can win games like that. You know, we didn't answer the bell when we needed to, and we didn't get stops when we needed to get stops, and as a result, we lost the game.
Right, I'm sure NFL guys ask you about some of your guys, but when it comes to Johnny Newton, what do you tell them about what makes him so consistently disruptive?
Yeah, I mean he's really strong, really explosive. His transition from defending the runs to getting vertical and getting into a pass rush on early downs is special. And he's one of the guys that has played the most consistent throughout the course of the season. Like he's a technician. He is consistent. He's focused, and he's violent. And you know, for 300+ pounds, he can really run.
Coach, when you have a game like Saturday, it doesn't go the way you want it to. How do you prevent from that carrying over the next week and the week after? How do you stop the bleeding at that point?
Yeah, you know, I think you just look internally and focus on not really the opponent, but how do you know, as an individual, as a position group, as a unit, how do you improve? And I think as long as your focus is on the improvement, you know, then you can consistently get into your routine. You consistently have, you know, good practice habits. You know, you're consistent in the way you play, the way you approach the game. And if you're improving, then you know you can live with the results. It's when you do things that are uncharacteristic or without, you know, outside the framework of what you've been practicing and how you've been performing. That's when you are disappointed. And so, as long as we are focusing on internally on improving, then you can live with the results.
What's the value in being a defense coordinator when you have a guy like Spoon you can put on Palmer and Oquandas too, but or Keon Coleman doesn't make a big impact, like especially going to this week against Charlie Jones. Like, what's the value of having that?
I mean, it's huge. Like there aren't so many Spoons out there, which is why, you know, I'd be if I were a betting man, I'd say that he's going to get drafted pretty high. He is unique in the fact that the more emotional he makes the game, the better his technique is, the more detailed he is, and that is hard to do. It's not a lot of people can do that. And so when he's like that with his opponents, it makes it hard on them. You know, he is as locked in a guy as I've ever been around. He's as passionate a guy as I've ever been around. And that's coupled with, you know, him being the type of talented individual that he is. Like, he can run, he's physical, change directions. Like, you can't create a corner better than what you got in Devin Witherspoon.
What have you learned as far as building a program from Coach B over the past couple of years?
You know, I think the biggest takeaway I've gotten from Coach B is, you know, you as in this profession, like, you steal ideas from other people, right? Like, you can steal a program, you know, you can steal a calendar, you can steal a schedule, but what you can't do is you can't try to be somebody that you're not. And what I think what Coach B has done here is he's been his genuine, authentic self. And when you do that, that allows you to operate consistently every day. And when you are consistent and when the people that you are leading know what to get from you and know what to expect from you on a day-to-day basis, that builds trust and it builds chemistry within the program. And so I think him being comfortable with who he is and him being himself while still, getting ideas from other places, other stops he's had along the way to set the program, that has allowed genuine and organic relationships. This is a relationship-driven business, and so I think the tighter relationships you have, the harder people are going to work for you. Like we show up every day, and Coach B's got an uncanny way of, putting stress on, not stress, but putting pressure on you to perform at a high level, without being an a-hole, you know what I'm saying, without having to demean you or yell at you or whatever. You don't want to disappoint him, and you don't want to disappoint him because you trust him, because you appreciate the way he goes about his day-to-days, and that's because he shows up every day being Brett Bielema, and that is what I think is the most important aspect of running a program and being a leader. Like the places I've been that have had success, at the top they're even keel. They're the same every day. And the places I've been where it hasn't worked, it's because it's up and down, and guys are trying to be trying to be people that they have worked for or what they've seen succeed instead of being their authentic selves on a day-to-day basis.
Is that what drew you here, or is that something that's manifested and you've learned since being here?
I think that's I thought that was going to be the case after my initial conversations with Coach B. And it's what I had heard from other people, and obviously I did my homework about who he was and how he went about his business. But it definitely has manifested and proven true every day. Really, I'm a firm believer in every interaction you have with somebody, you are either building or taking away trust, right? And so when you are having those interactions and those conversations with an individual that is the same all the time, you can trust that. It's because it's consistent. So I think that's why there's a lot of trust in that building.
What have you seen from Charlie Jones in a year since you played him last to where he's become one of the best in the Big Ten, especially in Jeff's
Right.
offense, right?
Right. I mean, they're using him, right? Like last year, you noticed him in the return game because that was really the only time he had the ball in his hands. And so now, like he is definitely benefiting from that system. You see that he is a polished receiver. He can run routes. He makes contested catches. And then if you give him space with the ball in his hand, like he can really run. And so, I'm sure you'll see number 31 on Charlie on Saturday.
Ryan, maybe probably saw a really nice day yesterday for Kirby Joseph.
Yeah.
Going back to last year, sorry, Joey, but going back to last year, is there kind of a time when it came to mind like, okay, I think this guy's going to succeed at the next level after
Yeah.
the success he's had?
It was there were different moments, right? The Virginia game where his first interception, I was like, wow, like I don't know if I've ever coached somebody that can make that play. And so then obviously, you guys know the history of it. We changed what we're doing defensively. We put him in the post, for the majority of the snaps. And then just every week he would continue to get better, not only in the pass game, but he was really aggressive coming up and defending the run. And then again, he's another guy that was consistent in practice, consistent in games. And then I think it was after the Iowa game, we went down there, we lost, but he had a really good performance, both in the run and coming up with turnovers in the passing game. And so on the bus ride back, that was the first time where I was like, we're watching the tape, and I'm like, man, he might be gone. Like this kid, he can come back and get his degree. You know what I mean? And so just throughout the course of the year, he kept making plays that you see guys make on Sundays.
Last question. Unless there is no more.
Thanks, sir.
All right, good. Thanks.